Okay, I think we're live now. Talking to the public now. Can you guys type something in the chat just for us to make sure that we're live, that you're listening to us, that the image is clear, everything is all right and good. The chat is at the bottom right. You can type something nice for us. Ideally nice. Okay. Okay. Hey guys, what is up? Yeah, we're gonna start. Okay. So just to introduce myself first, my name is Mylène. I'm French, but I'm in Rio right now. I'm talking from Rio. We're all in different countries, so that's gonna be fun. And I used to be, oh, Taylor is here. Hi, Taylor. You're coming right on time.
Yes.
I used to be a Wagon student also in 2018. And then I started to work here because that's the best team ever, best school, best environment to be in. So I decided to stay. And nowadays, I'm very lucky to know all of these wonderful people that I will be glad to introduce to you today. But before we start, I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about Le Wagon and what we do here, because I know that we have some people here who have no idea what Le Wagon is. So for you guys, I prepared a little presentation. Oh, no, not this, slideshow. So basically, Le Wagon is simply the best tech school worldwide. And you're watching this event as part of 3 main events this week, which is basically about showcasing our global talents to you guys. And if you missed the other events, I advise you to text us on Instagram or WhatsApp, and we'll send you the replay link if you're not signed up already. If you're signed up, you should be receiving the replay link today or tomorrow. Okay. Again, when you're part of Le Wagon, you're part of a 26,000 alumni network, which is, in my opinion, the coolest thing about it. And we're placed in over 40 cities all around the world. And that's something I love, 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 because as a current nomad, I don't hesitate to contact every single city I visit and ask them hey, can I come on campus to work? Can I come on campus for the party? That's the best part of Le Wagon, in my opinion. And when I'm in Brazil, I'm really happy that we have people traveling from around the world to Brazil, and they ask us hey, can I join for the happy hour on Friday? Can I come to work at school? It's always a big pleasure that we can share this moment together. So that's, in my opinion, the best part of Le Wagon is the international network, the students all around the world, the campuses all around the world. And the second best thing, in my opinion, maybe the first for the students sometimes, are the teachers. This is the best part about Le Wagon. When people ask me how is Le Wagon different from other schools, it's simply that there's no comparison. If you're comparing us with online classes that you do self-paced, we are a very innovative school. But there's something very traditional about us, and it's the fact that we love having teachers, real humans talking to you, trying to help you in your learning journey is one of the most important things for us. And that's the way that you will learn so effectively at Le Wagon. And of course, we're also very project-oriented, practice-oriented. It's a very social experience. You will get to collaborate, work with many people from your class, because we believe that that's what will make you a great professional once you'll be on the market. Our course outcomes here, just a heads up, these are mostly European numbers. That's why the salary is in euros. I wish that everyone in the world could be earning a salary in euros. It's not the case, unfortunately. But I thought it was relevant because I know that we have a lot of international students who will go back to Europe or the US or Canada. So I thought that it was more relevant for you as a number compared to the Brazil number. And something I would like to encourage you to do myself, before doing the bootcamp, when I was wondering about Le Wagon and I was being oh, but is this the right school for me? Is this the right move for my career? I remember that I went on LinkedIn and I typed Le Wagon and I looked for all their former students, and I contacted 4 or 5 of them. And I was just asking questions hey, how was your experience? What did you think of the school, the teachers? Was it worth it for you? And the thing that surprised me the most was that everyone answered. And I was wow, what a cool community that everyone is trying to help. And they were all encouraging me to do Le Wagon. So like if I can encourage you also to do this, because like you can listen to me or like any other Le Wagon staff talk about the school, of course, but I think it's always better to talk to our students. And that's why I love the kind of event that we have today. And if you don't know yet, we have 4 courses. Like I know that we have very old alumni today, and they didn't know any about these courses back in the days. So now we have web dev, data science and AI, data analytics, and even data engineering. And here, just a heads up, web dev and data analytics, it's for beginners. So if you don't have any programming experience, you're very welcome to join. But data science and AI and data engineering, it's not for beginners. Like you need some kind of programming skills. Like we have 2 data science students with us today, so they can tell you a little bit more about how challenging this bootcamp can be. And depending on the class, we have full-time or part-time in 2 months or 6 months, on campus in Rio and Sao Paulo, or online, whatever you prefer. And that's about it. That's not the most interesting thing happening today. The most interesting thing is in front of you. They are the students. So first thing first, I'd like to ask each of you guys to give a little introduction about yourself, like just for people to be a little bit curious about your path. Who would like to go first?
I can start if you guys want to.
Go.
So hello everyone. So I am Farah. I did the bootcamp in Rio 2 years ago. So from April 2022 till June 2022. So I did in the campus. It was full-time, 3 months, and it was the data science bootcamp. And since the bootcamp, so I'm working online as a freelancer in the tech area. And that's it for like a general presentation.
That's awesome. And today you are talking to us from?
Yeah, today I'm from Morocco. I'm talking to you
Morocco.
from Morocco.
Awesome. Who wants to go after Farah? Hard.
I can go.
Okay, Steven, let's go.
Yep. So my name's Steven. I did Le Wagon in Rio in 2018. Before that, I was working as an accountant, kind of doing some programming on the side, and I found that a lot more enjoyable. Since Le Wagon, I've worked for a mix of small startups, mid-sized companies, freelancing along the way. This past year, I've been working primarily as a freelancer. I'm currently in Cusco, Peru.
Awesome. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I can go. So my name is Guillaume. I'm from Belgium, currently living in Maputo in Mozambique. I did the data science bootcamp in Rio in 2020. So that was in the middle of the pandemic. It was a mixed campus between various Latin American countries. When I started, I had a background in finance for 7 years. I was a bit bored of my work, and there were a lot of small decisions that I took that made me start the bootcamp, which actually changed my life and my career. It's I'm not overselling it. It really changed my life. So yeah, and now I'm working in an environmental scale up in the Netherlands, but remotely.
Awesome. Here's your money for saying that. And last but not least, Taylor.
Hello, I'm Taylor. I'm from LA. I used to work in the film industry, and so coding was like a big pivot for me. I wanted to move to Brazil, which is why I learned to code. And while I was researching Brazil and Rio, I found this amazing boot camp, and I was like, this could be a useful skill to learn. And then 9 weeks later, I fell in love with coding, and my whole life changed. And true to the slogan, and this was in 2019. I did it right before the pandemic, and so it was also just perfect kind of timing to finally to have a remote job during that time. I worked for different like ad agencies, and then now I code for Nike on their new virtual studios team. It's been really amazing, and I live in Portland, Oregon now. This is where
You
I am.
code for Nike, the shoes company? Awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool.
We're doing virtual goods now.
Wow, didn't know that. Super cool. Okay, I'm excited to know more about that. So we already have a question in the chat. Oh, two questions. But the first one, which I think is a great question, is why did you choose Rio? Like me, I know that was also a concern before I became a student in Rio. I was hesitating between Rio and Bali and maybe Lisbon. So why did you guys choose Rio?
Mine was a very
Go ahead.
Mine was a very practical choice because my girlfriend from the time, which is now my wife, he's Brazilian. She's from Rio, and I actually quit my job in Belgium because I wanted to move careers, but I didn't know what to do. So I just moved to Rio, quit my job, and we're planning to live with my wife. She's a humanitarian worker, so we would plan to go to different cities. So that's why also I needed to find some skills that enabled me to work remotely, which tech skills does really great. So yeah, mostly because my wife is from there, basically.
Yeah,
But
wife, they have an amazing life, I believe. Like she's a humanitarian worker, he's a tech worker, and they travel around the world together. And now they have a cute baby. Like I want a documentary about your life.
No, but I didn't know what to expect, and I found myself really pleased with the experience in Rio. We were on campus, although it was the pandemic, but we had the measures of the mask, etc. But really great teachers and an amazing vibe during and after work.
Nice, practical choice. Okay.
Mine was definitely just a very fun choice.
Why?
Yeah. How do you choose from all the worldwide campuses? I think you just have to choose the location that excites you the most, because the boot camp is amazing, but sometimes it's really hard. So you want to make sure you're having a great time on your off time too. And Rio definitely provided that. Going to the beach, hanging out. Yeah, it's amazing. Listening to music on the streets, like. Why am I not there right now? I don't know.
I wonder why you're not here with us now, Taylor.
I know.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I had a handful of like the campuses in mind, and in the end, maybe just because I was an accountant at the time, I put them all in the spreadsheet, and I looked at the cost. I looked at how much it would cost me to stay in Rio, and I forgot the other ones I was looking at, but. It all just kind of came down, and I've been to Rio before, so it won out in the end through the numbers and kind of what I wanted to do.
Okay, practical but fun.
Yeah, and for me, I think it's a little bit the same. I was living in Paris, so I was thinking either doing it in Le Wagon in Paris, or in Lisbon, or in Rio, and then after I was like. Rio was like calling me, and I wanted like to live in Rio after Le Wagon. So that was like the best thing to do, starting studying and then staying for just to live and work from there. So that's what I did. But I think Le Wagon, you can do it like in many places, which is amazing. But the most important is to find like the place that is right for each person. And once you find this place, just ask people, know the teachers, because like the place is important, but the teachers are really important, and it changes from one place to another. And in Rio, like as for me, they had like really good teachers, so that's why also I went there. And it was like a mix between the teachers and the place, and that's what was perfect for me.
Yeah, Farah, you are in love with Rio.
Yeah, it's true, and I am in love with Rio too.
Okay, I want to answer a little bit this question, even if I'm not part of the panel today. But now that I have some experience traveling in other Le Wagon places, in other schools around the world, like I've been to the one in Bali, I've been to the one in Singapore. They are wonderful places, but I do believe that in Rio, and you guys, Taylor and Steven, you don't know, but now we moved to Ipanema. So we're really on the beach now. Like before, we were only like 20 minutes by metro, but now we're like 2 minutes by walk. So now it's terrible temptation for the whole boot camp. Our school now, we have a shower for the surfers and the swimmers. It's a lot of temptation. So yeah, I think it's our current school, our current spot. Like even the former spots were great, but what I love in Rio is that it's a city that you don't need to travel very far to do a lot of fun places. Like you can go to your school in Ipanema, you can live in Copacabana, you can go to the beach, you can go on a hike, you can go on like cultural events, musical events, and you're always in a very small area. Like in Bali, every time I wanted to do something, I had to take a car, a bike, and a lot of crazy traffic in Bali. It was really fun, but I thought it wouldn't be convenient if I want to really make the most of my time. If I only have 9 weeks of boot camp, so like just 9 weekends, I think that's a city like Rio will be more convenient, more optimal, I believe. Okie dokie. Another great question coming from Ian is asking how detrimental was your decision to come to Rio, knowing that you will probably go look for a job not in Brazil. So I think now is the time, for example, if you want to say like how you connected with other students not in Brazil, for example, like not in the Brazilian campus. I know that Steven has a good story about what he did after the bootcamp.
Yeah, I lucked out. I mean, so Wagon has the active Slack channel with all the past students, and someone in there after I finished Wagon in Rio, I was traveling around a bit, and someone in the Wagon Slack was it was a group of freelancers. They were looking for another developer, and they were working out of Berlin, Germany. I had a phone call with them, and the vibes were there, and I moved to Berlin, Germany, and worked with these guys for. It was a small project. It was we were building this platform for a startup. But while in Germany, it's gave me enough cash and time to kind of find a full-time position in Germany, and when I started working for a small agency there. So yeah, through the Slack channel, it kind of got me my first paid opportunity, and yeah, I've used it more since. But yeah, that was pretty helpful for me.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me that you were going to the happy hour of the Berlin school, and you could like connect with a lot of people, because that's something cool. Like even if you belong, like you're from the Rio school, but you're always very welcome in other schools, whether you want to go presentially or connect online with people. That's a very cool feature of the school.
Yeah, the Berlin Wagon, they have like the alumni night, so you can go there, and I mean it's active. I mean, even I mean I'm done with my Wagon class, but I'm still getting free food and beer at the Berlin Wagon class. So.
Shh, that's a secret. Anyone wants to tell their experience about connecting, networking, not in Brazil?
Not in Brazil? Sure. I mean, I always tell people, if you're going to do a boot camp in another country and you're trying to find a job back where you are originally, to leverage probably the industry that you came from. So I worked in the film industry, and so I targeted companies that were in media that needed code, like developers, so that I could still make use of my past resume without starting from total scratch. So it worked for me.
Okay. I know like for Taylor and Steven that are American, I know that on Slack, there's a USA channel. Now I don't think it's very active, but I think because before the pandemic, it was active. And I know, for example, that they used to do like happy hours in New York, happy hours in LA, where former students from like all around the world, because we don't have a school in the US. We have a lot of American alumni. And I know that they organize each other happy hours and meetups. I don't know how it's going now, but I know it happened in the past for sure. Guillaume, did you guys connect with other Wagon schools or other Wagon network apart from Brazil?
Actually, when I finished like the studying in Wagon, even if I was French, I wanted at some point to come back to Europe. I knew that I was going to stay for a while in Latin America. And it was like easier for me to do the Wagon in Brazil and start connecting with people in Brazil or in Latin America, rather than do it in Europe. But then at the end, I think Le Wagon network is really big. And even now, when I'm looking for a job or I can see someone that is from Le Wagon, as you said, Milan, at the beginning, you can always send a text or something out from Le Wagon, even if it's not the same city. They will always, most of the time, answer to you, and which is really, really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can confirm what Farah said. You clearly during the bootcamp you have location-specific events. For example, that I know in Belgium, for example, they have a career week where at the end of the bootcamp you meet local companies and they do kind of a speed dating with students and companies, which is really great. But if you want to do it somewhere else, the network is really, really active, and there is no problem to connect with anybody. I had the chance to do some teaching assistant and then lead teacher after Le Wagon. And this really opened doors because, as it was also during the pandemic, everything was online. So I got been TAing to in France, in Montreal, in Europe. It was amazing to meet people. And then when I got back home in Belgium, I was able to do teacher in Belgium as well, and they welcomed me with open arms. So yeah, always a very active community.
Just to explain a bit what Guillaume said. So basically, Guillaume was a student, and after he applied to be a teacher assistant. Teacher assistant, what we call TA, is basically someone who's here to help during the day with students. It's not someone who's going to give the class as a teacher, but they're here to help. And then he got a promotion and got teacher's classes because, of course, he was amazing. Was one of the top students. Of course, he became an amazing teacher. And what he was saying is that you can do this in Brazil, you can do this abroad. Like, I'm always super happy to see students who start as students in Brazil and then they become like TA, teachers in Brazil. Now they are teachers in Bali, teachers in Japan. So it's really cool to see their journey inside Le Wagon. And a lot of them, like, they just don't do it. They have like freelance jobs on the side, but it's just, if I could technically become a teacher, I would love to do it because I think there are so many like cool opportunities if you want to travel around the world, meet people, teach something you love. It's a really cool opportunity. And because you guys were talking about like contacting former students, I just would like to share something, a feature that we have on Kit. I don't know, when was the last time you guys opened Kit? And sometimes even former students, they don't know about it. And I'm always like, guys, you have to know about this. So basically this is our learning platform, and we have this feature called Alumni, simply. And it's basically the LinkedIn of Le Wagon. So I'm gonna show myself. If I look for myself here, I find myself. You can see my resume, you can see a lot of other stuff. And then here you can see my contacts. Wait. That's why I'm showing my page and not someone else's page, because I don't want to leak data that's not mine. But that's the super cool thing about Le Wagon is that you have the contact of other students if these other students allowed Le Wagon to share this info with other graduates, of course. And this is only for graduates. And you might think like, okay, but like, how would I know that I want to talk with this person specifically? That's kind of hard to find. Well, another cool feature, and that's usually what even former students forget about, is that we have this company feature. So let's say that your dream is to work at Google. Here, you can search for Google, and it's gonna show like all the former students, all the alumni who work at Google or were working at Google. And same thing, I can click on their profile and I can have access to their emails, their WhatsApp, their LinkedIn, and you can contact them like, hey, I'm also a Le Wagon alumni. I would love to work at Google with you, or I would love to work. What's cool is that you can see the different departments, the different teams. You can ask questions, and like the fact that you are both alumni, naturally, I think people will likely want to help you. You're not like cold emailing someone you have no connections to. So yeah, and that's another cool feature, the world map. So someone was asking like, I think Jan in the question was asking like, can you join other campuses events and happy hours and career week? And yes, you can. And it's super simple. All you have to do is come here and be like, oh, okay, I want to join the Madrid events, whatever. And here I have all the contacts of all the people who work there, and you can contact Emilia, and she will be very glad to connect you with like local alumni, local company. So yeah, that's we have a lot of these kind of features, and I think it's really cool to share and to know about. Did you guys remember that this feature? Yeah, Guillaume knew. Taylor was like, "What the hell is this? I didn't know about that." Maybe I should hide my information. Think about it. Okie dokie. Do we have other question? So Jan is asking, is there a job board only for alumni? Yes, there is. I think you guys don't know about that because I think you all have a job now, or at least in our Le Wagon data, you guys have a job. But for the ones who don't have a job, they receive emails from a new platform that we acquired that is called Job Hunters. And it's basically a platform where we have a job board, but we also have it's like a pipeline where you can organize your resumes, where you're sending them, and it's for us also to follow closely your journey of looking for a job. So if tomorrow you tick the box on your alumni profile that you're looking for a job, you will be receiving career help this way. Just for you to know, might be interesting. Do we have other questions in the chat? Otherwise, I have more specific question to each of you. I would like to ask Guillaume to just develop a bit more about the fact that the project he did during the bootcamp became his job. I think that was very interesting to talk about.
Yeah, it was quite quite interesting. It was a long journey, but in the end, it all came together. So the project we had at the end of the bootcamp was classifying satellite images from the Amazon forest to detect deforestation. So basically, we had to classify what we detected on each images. It was a Kaggle data set, very, very basic. And since I had a master in environment, I thought, well, this might be useful in the future. At least it's linked to what I like to do. And then, yeah, I realized I wanted to work in a mix between tech and environment. But before doing Le Wagon, I missed some hard skills, so to say, because every job I was finding was like sustainability project manager, etc., and I didn't have the experience for that. So adding the technical skill was really an added value on my CV. And just after the bootcamp, I found, so I did a bit of teaching, but then I quickly found a paid internship in a sustainability consulting company, specifically working on geo data and satellite images, and that was 6 months. So it was still not a job because I wasn't hired at the end. But this started the whole journey, like really getting to know Earth observation and what we could do with satellite images. And this is actually a big application in environment. And then, yeah, after some months of more teaching and more looking into that sector, I finally found another paid internship, which now became my job in this Dutch company I work for, which is called Satelligence. And what we do is basically offer our clients a service of satellite monitoring of the deforestation in their sourcing supply chain. So for commodity like cocoa, coffee, soy, and palm, we offer that service. And yeah, for 4 years or 3 years after, I managed to secure a job. So the 3 years weren't jobless. I always found some jobs and freelancing related to that. But now it's actually a real job as an employee.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Really cool. If you guys are curious, like you can, where can they find this information? You can, I will send later in the chat the LinkedIns of every single people here. And you can look, I don't know if you guys want me to share this information, but you can go on YouTube and look for their demo day. You can find mine also. If you Google their class name on YouTube, you can find, so you can see Guillaume's project about satellite images. I remember when we watched the demo day, I was like, what the hell? They built this in 10 days? That doesn't make sense. But yeah, that was a really cool project. And you can see it on YouTube, like all the final project, you can see them on YouTube. It's really cool.
What was funny was that just after the day after the demo day, someone contacted us on LinkedIn and asked how we could help their business. So we said, yeah, definitely we can help you do this and this, but we had no capacity at all to answer that demand. So it ended up failing a little bit, but he was interested in the service we showed during 10 minutes on the demo day. That was funny.
Yeah, it's still cool to see that there was demand. There was clearly like, you did something really cool, clearly. Yeah. Nice, awesome. So let's go to Jan's question. Was asking, I think specifically to each of your countries and region, why did you choose Le Wagon versus another bootcamp that you could have been doing in your respective countries?
In my case, so when I wanted like to do Le Wagon, so I was living in Paris, and I was searching for so many boot camps, and there are a lot of boot camps in Paris in data, in data science, data analytics, and everything. But the first Le Wagon is really well ranked. I think he's the first one, like way far from the other ones. Also, you have like the possibility with Le Wagon to really be on site and see the teachers. It's even if it's like online hybrid things, you have real teachers. You don't like just study alone and follow like some slides and everything. So you have like a class, have like teammates and everything, and it really changes like the whole experience. And after, I think also like talking to people, asking like different, like the person that worked with Le Wagon and other bootcamp, I just like felt like there was a huge difference with Le Wagon. That's it.
Awesome.
For me, it was kind of Le Wagon was adding some adventure to learning how to code. Right, I had already been, I'd probably spent maybe a year or 2 years kind of knowing that I wanted to get deeper into programming. So I had done a lot of kind of self-teaching and looking at boot camps. And I figured they would all be, pretty similar. You go to a classroom every day and you code and you get to, meet some people. But the opportunity to kind of Le Wagon gives you is you get to go, outside of the U.S. I got to go to Rio. Half our class was Brazilians, and then the other half were international students. And you're just not going to get that, that kind of diversity and this cool learning environment from if I went to a place in the States. So that was kind of the main driver for me.
Awesome. I also think that for our American alumni, we're such a good price. When I look at the American boot camps, I'm like, what do they do there? Does everyone has like specific teacher assigned to them, like price-wise?
Yeah, that was a big factor for me too. It was a quarter of the price of what it was in the US. Plus, I get to be in Brazil. Like, that was a no-brainer.
No, yeah, for you guys, it's cheaper to go to Brazil, do a boot camp, have fun, go back, spend a few months like chilling, and then it's still cheaper than doing the boot camp in the US. It's insane. So Yann is asking, what was the international to domestic student ratio in Le Wagon Rio? Honestly, as someone who has in a lot of classes in Rio, it really depends. I think it also depends on the worldwide conditions. So I remember, for example, the class that was right before the pandemic, like the class from January to March 2020. We had 20 students. We had 17 different nationalities. So it was like 4 Brazilian and 16 people from all around the world. It was really crazy. It was a beautiful class to end an international phase of Le Wagon, because then when the pandemic hit, of course, like no one could travel. So like we still had some online international student. It was kind of, it was a weird phase for everyone, I think. Guillaume, I think your class, there was still, there was a lot of Latin American students, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a mix between different campuses joining together. But in the
Canada also.
Did we? I think we had Mexico.
Yeah.
Argentina and Brazil.
Yeah. So yours was
there were the 3 campuses.
But very American. It was a weird time also.
Yeah.
And
but the Brazilian student that was part of the bootcamp, I got contact with them still now, and when I come to Rio, I also we get in touch. So that's also great that to have a bit of a local contacts and experience.
Yeah, we were all invited to your baby shower. Chá de bebê. Super cute. And I also go to weddings here, like Le Wagon weddings. It's really fun. Farah, in your class, I think it was mainly Brazilians, right? No, you had Jonathan was French.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was mainly Brazilian, and Jonathan was also French like me, but otherwise it was Brazilian from different places from Brazil.
Your class was interesting. Like it was Brazilian, but Brazilians not from Rio. So they were also kind of like international students, because I remember we went together to Maracana and they were just as excited as me, being like, oh, wow, I'm going to Maracana. But they were Brazilian. It's just
they were Brazilian, but not living in Rio. It was also for them like the first time in Rio. So it was really nice, like to do this kind of things with Brazilian, but like new in Rio. Was nice.
That's also a very cool experience to be with tourist Brazilian. So so to answer your question, Jan, it really depends on the class. Now it's better than during the pandemic. Like during the full of the pandemic, we had a hard time to have international students. Now it's better, but honestly, it didn't still go back to this crazy class I had in the past, like also like Taylor, Steven's classes before the pandemic. It was way more international. Like I feel like we're still struggling to get. It's not struggling. It's just like we still have more Brazilians and internationals now. The percentage ratio. Oh, I don't know that. That's a very specific question. But I know that in Brazil, just Brazil, out of these 26,000, we have over 1,200 alumni in Brazil. So we are quite an okay part of it all. Yeah, and I think the rest, a lot of people must be in Europe, because what you guys have to know is that in Europe, they get so many government help that it's almost free to do the bootcamp there. Like if you're unemployed in Germany, it's free. So like they have a lot of students. Yeah, they have a lot of stuff. Great for them. I think the bootcamp should be free for everyone. Just my opinion. I'm not a Le Wagon associate. Okay, I have one last question, or if we have more questions coming, that I know is a big concern for international students coming to Rio, is the safety. So I'd like to ask you guys, what was your experience in Brazil, in Rio? Were you scared before coming? How was your experience regarding safety, security? If you have tips, and if you'd like to kill some stereotypes also about Brazil and Rio, but also like keep it, it's still Brazil. Okay. If someone would like to comment on that, I know it's a big concern.
Yeah, I think it's like any other major city. You have to be aware of your surroundings at all times. But otherwise, sure, it was in the back of my head too before I decided to go. But then as soon as I landed, I was like, oh, this is incredible. Everyone's so kind, and I really did not feel unsafe once. I can't think of one time. I'd ride my bike around. Sometimes I'd walking around at night by myself. Like, don't recommend that all the time, but I felt okay. Yeah, it really, and sometimes like friends or family would call, be concerned, and I was just like, what are you talking about? It is amazing here. So don't worry.
And good to know coming from a woman also.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues when I was there. I definitely, you just have to be aware of your surroundings at all times. I didn't try and stay out by myself. If I was coming home late at night, I would try and grab a cab straight to the house. But yeah, I mean, definitely after you leave Rio. So I went. I have parents in Boise, Idaho, which is kind of a smaller, much safer place, and you can just feel yourself not have to be concerned with your surroundings, and it just feels a lot different after leaving, being kind of constantly alert. But yeah, I mean, just be smart. Keep your surroundings in mind, and I mean, you probably won't have any issues.
I agree. Other opinions on this subject?
Yeah, I think it's what Steven and Taylor said. It's just a common sense. Most of people, they think Rio is very dangerous. You cannot do anything outside. You need to be careful. You cannot walk. You cannot go out by night. You just need like to be careful. But like in many big places, in big city in the world, and Le Wagon is really well located. Like it's in Ipanema. You can go there by walking. You can do many things around. It's a very safe place where it's located, and Rio is not that dangerous comparing to other cities, really.
Yeah, I didn't have any issue either. And at the time, the campus was a bit outside of the center, well, at least outside of Copacabana where I lived. So I had like 10 subway stations to take, and I didn't have any issue. The subway is super safe, and to the contrary, I like to be just with the locals and living the life as a local, walking in the streets. I think that felt really great.
Yeah, it was in Gloria, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Okay. And another question that I had received before was the language barrier. And I'm not talking about Python or Ruby. I'm talking about Portuguese. How was it for you guys? I'm a big Guillaume, you knew a bit of Portuguese maybe because of your wife.
Yeah. I that year in Rio was specifically also to practice my Portuguese, but I had like 2 years of classes before.
Oh, wow.
So that was all right.
Okay.
And the Brazilian Portuguese is much easier to grasp than the Portugal Portuguese.
Controversial. But yes,
No,
very
it's
factual.
it's factual. Like the Spanish of South
Yeah.
America is it's much easier to grasp, I think.
Yeah, I agree. What about the others? How was it to go around Rio without speaking much Portuguese?
I had taken some like lessons before going, so I had some like baseline knowledge, but then I was still like practicing while I was there, because I think that is an important part if you're going to be living in any country, to try to learn the language and immerse yourself, like get the most of the experience. And so by the end of the 6 months, I felt like I could communicate and connect with people. But otherwise, yeah, actually, I did find that sometimes you couldn't find a lot of people that spoke English. So honestly, it's great because it forces you to learn Portuguese and actually immerse yourself. But otherwise, with the classmates, that was already a set community. So even if I couldn't always connect with people in Brazil, like I had people to be with.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of stumbled through it. There was probably, at least one interaction every day where I felt like a dumbass. But I mean, they get so many tourists in Rio that you can make your way through it. You can get food, you can go shopping. I mean, never any big issues, right? But yeah, you can make it through it easy enough.
And Farah, I think you were speaking good Portuguese already.
Yeah, exactly. I was living in Lisbon before, like Brazil, and I learned Portuguese from Portugal before going to Brazil, and so it was easier for me. And the Portuguese from Brazil is way much easier than the Portuguese from Portugal, also. And but even because I've visited so many of my friends, so many people that I know, they're afraid like of going to Brazil because of the language, because most of people, they speak a little bit Spanish, but Portuguese just in Brazil. And I feel like in Brazil in general, in Rio, it's easy like to connect and to learn languages. It's very simple language, and if you have just a little bit of motivation, it's possible to learn. And also it's part of the challenge, I think, to choose like do boot camp somewhere else. It's to live the whole package thing. It's like learning Le Wagon, learning coding and everything, but also learning a new culture, new language, and that was really, really nice.
I agree. Most of you guys don't know, but when Steven and I met, when we're like students together, I had been in Brazil for like 6 months, so I didn't speak Portuguese. So I have some experience also, and I agree with everything you said. And I think at the end of the day, as a French person also, like everyone is so nice about it. Like they don't care if you don't speak Portuguese. So like to the contrary, like I had situation where people will insist on communicating with me, and I was like, I don't know what you're saying, and they were like, oh, wanting to interact with me, because people are so nice here and they're so open to the world, and they really, what I love about Brazilians, they are so proud about their country and they want to show it. So it's always a nice interaction. It's not as challenging as in Europe, for example, or some Asian countries, or because sometimes they speak English. Like I had this experience in Asia that I can feel that they speak English, but they're so obsessed with perfection that they cannot speak it. Where in Brazil, they don't care about perfection, so they will just swing it, and that's the charm of it. It's beautiful. Okay, guys, we're gonna end it soon. So I would like you to think about something we didn't speak about, and you think that will be relevant, a very important information to share with former students or current international students, or former or future international students, like something you think it's a good tip, something to remember, an advice for the bootcamp, after the bootcamp, whatever you think is relevant that we didn't mention during this talk. I'll let you think about it.
Do your flashcards.
Do your flashcards.
Really, they help so much in the learning process. And honestly, like I would have interview questions for jobs that were like straight from those flashcards, and they'd be like, damn it, I forgot to study it before the interview. So they're helpful.
That's a great one. Thank you so much, Taylor. I will cut that video and send it to all the students. Do your flashcards. I will create a GIF of Taylor being like, do your flashcards. And the thing you just say that sometimes like interview questions come from flashcards. I had another student who said it in another event recently. So it's not just you, like it's actually very relevant. Great tip. Any other tip?
I want to say, if you have the opportunity, try to do a bit of a teaching assistant after the bootcamp, because this really helps you review what you've done during the 9 weeks. So, because the 9 weeks, they go really fast. It's quite challenging at some point. And having to explain it to another student afterwards helps you to really make sure you understood the concept. And yeah, it's a great experience to do.
I agree.
I would say, keep your eye on the Slack channel. A few months back, or maybe last year, there was like a multiple session interviews that someone, I can't remember her name, but someone at Wagon put together, where she interviewed VCs, entrepreneurs, and it was like a month-long, like four session like class that she did. So there's a lot of good like interviews and opportunities like that going on in the Wagon Slack.
Yeah, that was something just for former students, right? Who are interested in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of these things now. Yeah, it's really cool. And Slack channel is like where you find jobs, where like there's a story I like to tell of Luciano. I don't remember his family name, but if you Google Luciano Le Wagon, you will find him. Like similar to you, Steven, he started to interact with someone on Slack, and then he got like it was just a random guy in Paris who wrote on the help channel like, I need help with my code, like help me debug it. And Luciano helped that guy like simply out of his good heart. And then this guy offered him a freelance job to complete the task, and he took the freelance job and he was paid in euros. Amazing. And then like it really became something recurrent, like every month it will happen. And then he offered to the guy a job coming with a French working visa. And it was like, this is such a crazy story. Like it just started from like helping someone on the Slack channel, and now you were offered a French working visa to work with them because of course he was doing a good job. Like it was a great guy. End of the story, he didn't take it. Like in the end, he chose to launch his startup in São Paulo, and it's just as successful. So to each their own path. But I was like, what a cool opportunity that you see is in this moment. So it's beyond Slack, super important. Other tips?
I think my tips will be to trust the Wagon process because it's not big, it's very intense. Sometimes, like every day, you will learn new things. You will have like so many new information to process. But at the end, it's worth it. It's really interesting. And even like 2 years after, sometimes I look for some things, I read things, and I'm like, yeah, it's thanks to Le Wagon, I can understand it. So it's just trust the process.
Yeah, that's something that can be frustrating during the bootcamp because the methodology is basically like we're building a house. So we're giving you bricks, but we're not giving you like the whole plan yet because that's not how you build a house. Unfortunately, you cannot have like the whole thing in front of you without putting each block on it. So that's why we always say trust the process, that it will come to you in time when you can take it. Any other final advice? Anything interesting?
I think one thing that is great is that you will have access to a platform for life.
Yes.
And that you will keep getting the updates of the classes. And even now, if I look for something, as Farah said, I can come back to the platform and it's explained way better than some YouTube videos, and everything's in there, clearly organized, and with some challenges to do if you want to do a refresh.
Yeah, that's something like, I don't know, I think for Guillaume and Farah, there was no big update recently, but for Steven and Taylor, I don't know, it's not updated for you guys yet. I know it will be coming in the next week, but recently the web development bootcamp went through a lot of changes, and now we have AI in the bootcamp, which is really cool. I don't know if you guys remember like cookbook, food delivery, like this kind of traumatized. I can see the pain in your eyes. No, not with exercises. So now we have this exercise, but with AI in them. So for example, we're gonna like include the open AI API, and they can generate recipes based on like data that we give to the API, that kind of thing. It's really cool. I don't recommend you to go back to the bootcamp to do this, but just for you to know, it's there if you want to do it again.
Thank you.
One last thing I wanted to do is to send everyone's LinkedIn on the chat. And I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for your time, for your dedication. And it's something I wanted to, I'm not finding Steven in LinkedIn. Can you guys send your LinkedIn profile?
I got rid of my LinkedIn, but you can use my email.
It's okay.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it. A last tip I wanted to give to people is that the people you have in front of you today, they are here because they're really hardworking. As you can see, they have great social skills. They're always ready to help their community. That's why they're here with us today. And that's why they're successful. I don't want you to guys to look at them and be like, oh, it looks so easy. It's not easy. They're all very dedicated professionals. And that's why they're here with us today. So thank you guys again so much. I was so glad to see you all. Like I just do these events to see you guys, you know. It's just a little party for me with my former students. I don't care about Le Wagon. I just want to see you guys. And again, come visit us in Brazil, please. We have a school on the beach. We're just 5 minutes from the beach now. You can come and remote work. We have a lot of room if you want to be a remote worker here. It's really cool, okay? It's just an invitation.
I'm coming.
Yay! Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone who watched. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Milene.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.